Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the Language Arts Gallery. Today, we're going to continue with Lesson 3 of our Practical English Skills course. And today, we're going to talk about English expressions and English idioms that you can use in customer service. So please remember to subscribe to the channel so you get all of the videos in my Practical English course, as well as all the other English videos that I produce. So let's go ahead and get started with our first expression. It's at your service. If you say to someone, I'm at your service, that means that you're available and ready to help. Usually, when we use this expression, we're indicating that our attention is directed solely towards that person and helping them to meet their goals and needs. Our next expression is the customer is always right. Now, this is a saying that's been around for a long time. And of course, it means that the customer is always right. But what it really means is that customers' complaints and opinions should always be respected, no matter what, no matter how silly they are. Sometimes customers can be a little difficult to deal with, and we don't want to deal with some of their complaints that might seem a little unreasonable. But we might say, well, the customer is always right. That means even though this person's opinion might not be very valid, we still want to respect what they say because they're a customer. Our next expression is put yourself in their shoes. This means that you want to imagine how someone else feels. Now, this is also very useful if you're a customer and you're calling to complain or to state that you've had a problem with something. You might say, put yourself in my shoes. In other words, try to imagine how I feel. And this is good advice if you're working in customer service, because if you want to provide the best service to your clients, you always want to make an effort to imagine how they feel in the situation that they're in. Our next expression is handle with kid gloves. This is an expression that you might not be very familiar with. This is an expression that we use when we're dealing with someone who's very easily upset. We might say that person, you really need to handle them with kid gloves. That means deal with them in a very careful and very tactful way. You want to be sure that you don't say anything that could possibly upset this client because they're someone who's easily bothered. The next expression is kill them with kindness. Very often we say kill them. We don't say them, we say kill them. Kill them with kindness. That means be really, really overly nice in a difficult situation. If you've got someone who you really need to handle with kid gloves, sometimes you can kill them with kindness. You can be very, very nice to help them feel that you're valuing them as a customer and that you appreciate their business. The next expression is in good hands. If you tell your customer that they're in good hands, that means they're going to be well taken care of. You can say, don't worry, you're in good hands. Or if you're passing a client off to a colleague, you might say, I'm going to pass you to my colleague Jennifer, but don't worry, you're in very good hands. She's the best at what she does. To bend over backwards. If you bend over backwards for a client, that means you go way above and beyond what's expected in order to help that customer. So very often, if you're talking, for example, if you're talking to your boss and you have a client that's simply not satisfied, you might say, boss, I really bent over backwards for this person. I can't understand why they're so upset. That means I did everything I could and more to help them. Our next expression is touch base. If you touch base with someone, you get in contact with them, usually to follow up on something. If you've spoken to someone before, perhaps you've had an in-person meeting and you've exchanged phone numbers, or maybe you've exchanged email addresses, you might call them or send an email and say, I just wanted to touch base with you and see if you've made a decision about purchasing a new car, about moving ahead with the project we talked about. So to touch base really means to get in contact with very briefly in order to follow up on something. To make it right. Sometimes businesses make mistakes, or salespeople or customer service agents make mistakes. And sometimes, as a business or as a customer service rep, we want to make it right. That means we want to fix a mistake or solve a problem for the customer. We've done something wrong. Perhaps the customer is, maybe we didn't do something wrong. Maybe the customer is just dissatisfied and we want to make them feel satisfied. So we say, I want to make this right for you. We might ask a customer who's very upset, how can I make this right? In other words, how can I fix this? What is it that you want? That's often a very good thing to say because when customers get angry, they can complain a lot. This puts the ball back in their court, so to speak. That's another idiom that puts the responsibility on the customer for them to tell you what they want. And to think on your feet. If you think on your feet, you're able to make quick decisions. Very often, when you're in a customer service position, particularly when you're dealing with people who can get upset very easily, people whom you might need to handle with kid gloves, very often you need to think on your feet. You need to be able to make quick decisions to choose what's the right course of action to help that client. All right, great work. So again, please remember to subscribe to the channel so you'll get all the videos in this series. And I will see you in our next lesson here at the Language Arts Gallery.